JP Morgan just deployed autonomous AI agents to replace junior analysts, and that is the story today. But what's even crazier is how much money these other companies are spending. I'm going to go through that, and I'm also going to go over what a small business like JP Morgan or maybe a financial analyst business can do exactly to do this exact same playbook, because they are the ones that are at the top. But you might want to have some insights and some analysis on how to actually use AI to replace a junior analyst that you are employing. And I do this every day. I work on AI and I compare it to the people that I am paying, and I have them work on AI, and I think about replacing them depending on what AI can do for me. Now, I don't think anyone can completely replace their business with AI, but what you can do is you can take 10% off here, you can take 10% off there, and that's really what you're looking at. So what does this exactly entail? They paid $50 million to build this tech stack, and it runs for $180 a month for a two-person small business. Most AI agent online content is theater. This document is going to be the real process. Every product named, every current price, every URL will be clickable, and you can use this to actually employ this into your business. So what you're building is a pattern that works. Human directs, AI does. Human reviews. The human AI sandwich. Anthropic confirmed this in their own engineering organization. Claude writes 80% of their code. Engineers moved up the stack from coding to directing and reviewing. We talked about that in the last video. Same pattern, smaller scale. That's what wins for SMB right now. So where the big money is going this week alone, in a 7-day window, OpenAI, $500 billion Ohio data center, 20-year NVIDIA backed to lease information, money that they spent. Google backed $35 billion in Anthropic's data centers. So they invested in Anthropic's data centers. Google, $30 billion compute deal with SpaceX through 2029. Meta, $145 billion 2026 AI CapEx creative cash raise. $710 billion mutual financing between 4 companies in 1 week. So yeah, these guys are spending money on each other. Google and Anthropic looks like they're doing a lot of stuff. Okay, big AI isn't selling to small businesses. They're selling compute to each other. They're selling data centers. They're selling infrastructure, right? This is something small businesses don't have, and they're going to be buying eventually from big AI. The actual small business plays the application layer on top to follow what these people are doing so they can outcompete other small businesses, because these big companies have most money in the world. Yes, they do. And they are efficient, and at least they try to be efficient. So they're making everyone else efficient, which is what the world is doing with AI, which is speeding up. So let's talk about Granola, Claude, Lovable. This is where 29 new unicorns on Crunchbase counted in May actually live. So these are the platforms that are usable for small businesses. And so here are the tools that can actually work for small businesses today. I wanted to talk about the big businesses, where the money's going, but the small businesses is why we are here. So I want to just do a case study of what you exactly would do and buy as a small business if you were trying to be like JP Morgan and replace your junior analysts. People who aren't smart enough, they should be. If they have an AI, they'll be smarter than AI. So technically, you're giving them a raise, right? You're asking them to change position and become a senior analyst and use AI, which it's not really actually that accurate. It's just a matter of the doing aspect of your business is getting sent to AI. So Claude, this is the AI agents in population small businesses that you want to use, not demos. The Brain, $20, $100, or $200 a month. $200 a month is where agent teams, the planner, the executor, and the reviewer are actually viable. So yeah, max 5x the developer agent power user level is fine, but $200 a month is what these businesses would buy. Team, it's going to be $100 a seat. You're spending, I don't know, extra $200 a month to have AI included on your team. Claude Code for the whole team, if you have 10 employees, is $1,000, right? So that's a lot, right? So there is a bit of a barrier to jump through, but if you're a business, I would recommend spending money there right now. Skills are free on Claude. In ChatGPT, they're paid. So in a skill on Claude, you can develop something like a proprietary thing, teach Claude your skill, or get a skill from the marketplace and learn it. So that's going to be your agent stuff. You're going to have more specific writer that's going to work with whoever you want to install in your business. So if you're a financial advisor business, which is our case study, start at max $100 a month with Claude and then add pro seats, $20 a month there until you need to go to the $200 a month. Granola plus MCP, the meeting to CRM pipe. It's going to be a $30 per month AI, 5-minute setup. You don't have to you can do some OAuth, API keys, copy. Once you're connected, Claude can search any meeting note, extract action items, synthesize themes across all your customer interviews. This is great for sales, meeting to CRM, right? You can do this with other things, but they're going to live, if you doing like Fireflies, they're going to live inside of that app. You're going to share with your whole team this. So Claude's going to be able to access all of your team's information, what they're talking about. It's going to just help them get a little bit more efficient. Real use case is Claude. Find every client who mentioned college tuition concerns in Q2 meetings. Draft a 529 outreach email to each one. That's the agent to CRM pipeline, which is huge, especially if you're having certain sales or certain times a year, taxes, stuff like that. Yeah, you can categorize things much better. And imagine being able to categorize your people when you have your intake survey. Instead of just having a list of 10 questions, you can build profiles of what people might need with a whole conversation, 20 minutes of data. That's a bunch more than most CRMs do, which is 15 data points, where you live, do you have a dog, or whatever, right? So getting more intelligent, that is Granola. Lovable. This is build your own internal app tool. And these ones are interesting. People are saying they made a lot of money off that. It's an app build for a company is interesting. Let's just say that. If you're selling something, are you going to do an app for B2B? You're probably not. You might do it for business to consumer. If you're doing B2B, it's usually probably a little more proprietary, or you actually would want to hire a developer, not just use an app, right? So this is an interesting use case, but it outputs real code, React, Supabase. It's deployable. It's not a sandboxed prototype. So you can just transfer that to a developer and start to grow that. This is super fast, $50 a month to create these apps. And you're going to start seeing this a lot. Problem is the application of these. And the generated code needs assistance, right? So you need to hire an operations associate, which we're going to cover, right? So an app is just like a tool, right? It's your finance. It's the calculator for basically where your investments are going based on what you're doing, right? What you're investing in, right? If you use Robinhood, that's an app, right? So, but a financial company might want to apply Robinhood to their own stuff, right? So it's a dashboard. It's other things that are going to be able to help people do things faster, right? All right. So here's the process. If you want to get one of these services, Claude, Granola, I would say hopefully Lovable, not. But what you're going to do is an RIA with 30 million AUM, 80 clients. You want to grow, let's just say you want to grow to 50 million, 120 clients without hiring a second advisor, right? But that's a lot of money. But these are the people that should be doing this. And if you're even smaller, I would recommend doing it as well. So file under Mike for the video, but process as you hand to a real client. Step 1, buy the stack. So Claude Code Max, Granola, Lovable, Truthify MCP for portfolio data, $25 a month. Calendly plus Zapier, you should already have. This is going to be your meeting setup. $180 a month replaces a $400 to $60K junior or associate. You're going to wire up the MCP connectors one Saturday morning. This is the part most AI agent content skips. Actually, the MCP layer is what makes Claude useful instead of clever. Granola MCP, you're going to sign up for Granola, sit in on 3 client calls, capture from your device, Go to their website for Claude, connect it to Claude, authorize Granola, test Claude. What did I discuss in my meeting with the Hendersons? And then it's going to basically do what we just talked about before. So then is the Schwab MCP or Fidelity are both two paths depending on your custodian. No code, it's a Truthify MCP, connects via Plaid, Plaid, Yodlee, Yodlee, Morningstar partnerships, the OAuth, 99.7% data accuracy, read only 5-minute setup. So this is some technical stuff, but it's easy to do if you have a Claude on your side. Anyways, if you're going to do it yourself, it might take a little bit longer. But for two-person RIA, no code is the right call. Truthify is the cleanest. Claude summarize all its client portfolios over 1 million AUM. Flag any with 60% in tech. That's huge. That's great, right? So you're looking to protect their investment. Tech might not be safe. Cool stuff there. I think that's amazing for directors to know and to get that data on from their employees. That's going to be super powerful. And that's like a couple $100 a month set up in a weekend. So advisors compliance note, read-only architecture is what keeps you out of trouble. Truthify specifically uses Plaid plus read-only. Your brokerage credentials never pass through Truthify or Claude. This is the same architecture you already accept with Plaid for Mint, YNAB, etc. Your BD's compliance officer will know what Plaid is. Plaid. Do not give Claude trading authority. That's a separate conversation. Much higher liability bar. People are doing that. You can look into that. Probably don't want to do that. So you're going to build 4 agents. It's going to be in your weekend, Saturday afternoon, 4 hours. These are your Claude skills. You save once and reinvoke. Agent 1 is your client meeting assistant, trigger, end of every Zoom call, right? Workflow is going to be Granola, and this is the guts. And we're just going through this fast, so you can essentially paste this transcript into whatever you're using and say, hey, is this viable? But the point is, this is actually how to replace your employees with agents. We're talking about tools. We're talking about scenarios. You should probably do it if you have the money to test it. If not, someone else will, and they'll get faster than you. So anyways, you'll also make your employees more valuable, which we talked about. But the word replace, Junior, is not quite there. It's actually just going to make your team more valuable. So Granola transcribes Claude pulls transcript via MCP, and it drafts a follow-up email summary. CRM update, Redtail/wealth box. Action items, any compliance flags. Great. No manual entry. Awesome. Systems running. The human step, you're going to review and send with one click. Time saved, 30 minutes. A meeting, 5 meetings a week is about 2.5 hours a week. So that's kind of how you're shaving it off. You got to think about that, right? Time saved with this, depending on how much someone's making monthly, 2.5 hours a week adds up. That's about 10 hours a month, whatever. Could be a couple 500, 1,000, right? So saved right there. So that's just in your meetings. Probably lots of companies are going to do that starting there. Let's talk about Agent 2, quarterly review generator, triggered 2 weeks before each quarter in workflow. Claude pulls portfolio data via Truthful MCP. Generates personalized quarterly review against clients' bet, like stated goals. Compliance language is baked in. Compliance, whatever. Human step principal reviews plus e-signs. So time saved 90 minutes. 2 reviews per quarter, 30 hours a quarter. That's a full week saved. Great. You're saving money, right? That is the promise. That's why these AIs are making money, but you have to figure out how to save time, save money, and that's what they're for, which we already discussed. Agent 3 is your lead qualifier. Yeah, you probably want one of these. New lead submits intake form. You build the form in Lovable. It says you can build that in 30 minutes. I think you could do that in less. The Lovable form, Claude stores fit against your ICP. If qualified, drafts personal outreach meeting, books into Calendly. Now your salesperson isn't doing a bunch of qualifications. Maybe they don't have to do 1 or 2 of their qualifications. They can kind of come in and do more meetings or work more on the closing side, depending on what they're doing. 80% of unfit leads disqualified before you waste a minute. So time that is not being wasted is going to now go towards being smarter, getting better at using your AI, right? Knowing the market a little more, and that's super valuable. That's definitely why JP Morgan's doing this. And these companies need to just start. This is important, right? So Agent 4, compliance doc drafter. Look, if you could, your employee's not getting replaced necessarily. They're leveling up their thinking, right? So that's really how that works. Compliance doc drafter, that's your fourth agent trigger principle, pastes a client situation into a lovable internal tool. Claude returns an FINRA aware disclosure compliant draft of an investment recommendation. Principal reviews and sends, that's the human step, time saved, 20-minute, 10 docs a week, 3 hours a week. This is a draft generator, not a recommendation engine. Compliant docs, draft, that's perfect, right? So these are things people are sitting there doing that are hired to just do. The principal is still the fiduciary. Train Claude on your firm's actual disclosure language before relying on it. If you weren't using Claude, you were going to probably use ChatGPT, but then you need to have them internalized. And this is just a little bit more automatic based off of a quick paste, and it's communicative between your team. The point, I think, is to track that time and see if you're saving it. But these are scenarios that you need to be thinking about as a business owner. You need to be thinking about workflows and scenarios and time-saving things. Step 4, hire one person, the operations associate. And yes, this is a part of the AI gurus on Twitter never mentioned because it doesn't sell a course. Operations associate is 35 to 50K base. So that's pretty cheap, right? Plus benefits if they're working well. They're not a CTO. They're not a developer. They're not a data scientist. That's why they're cheap, which is great. They own all 4 agent workflows. Check and see if there's any errors. Reviews every AI output before it touches a client. So now you're saving your people that are going to learn and be smart more time. Maintains a lovable code. Yeah. Reports weekly metrics. Files new agent ideas as a principal for them. Where you're going to find someone like this, recent grads with a data admin background, operations associates at AI forward companies looking to move into a smaller firm, former virtual assistants who have learned the AI stack, Upwork's AI operations category 4x year over year. So that's great. Upwork AI operations. I actually need to look into that. Look, I lead with the interview question. Tell me about a time you spotted a problem in someone else's work before they sent it. What did you do? That's your review reflex you need. It's project management. And then step 5, measure weekly. Your operations associate runs this. So just think about that operations associate, but it would be AI ops associate, right? 4 numbers, no longer more. Hours per week saved, client touch points, the target goes up, more touch points equals better. Time from a new lead to a booked meeting. So they're tracking that across your AI and your salesman. That's great. AUM growth rate, the real ROA lagging indicator. Check this quarterly. Bonus, client NPs at 90 days, NPS. If AI is hurting the relationship, you want to know before the quarter ends. Once the 4 agents are clean, you're going to scale in 3 to 6 months. You're going to add an AI portfolio rebalancer, Claude and Truthful. You're going to add an AI client onboarding flow. You're going to replace outsourced bookkeeper with pilot.com or bench.co. Yeah, you're going to add Pokey for Apple Messages or businesses. First AI approved on iMessage June 2026. Write that down and look that up. Add AI drafted social content, primarily for advisors. Part 4, what this whole thing costs in 1 year. Tools, $188 a month. It's about $2,100, $2,200. Setup labor, 8 hours one Saturday, your time 0. Labor costs money, your time's expensive. You lost about $1,000 if you're working on this. New hire, 10,000, 45K, 10,000 bonus, 45K, right? 55K. So we're looking at about 57, 160. I always like to round costs up. So about 60K to hire these people for this kind of company compared to a junior advisor, 80K bonus. It's going to be saving you about 20K. Outsourcing client comms, you're going to compare it to that 30 to 50K a year. Do you really want to outsource to a paraplanner firm doing nothing and capping growth at 80 clients? It's also compared to competitors doing this. So that's really how it looks is if you're investing in new systems, one person's got to go, but this is probably for you if you're trying to scale and instead of hiring or spending a bunch of money on ads, doing a big marketing campaign, which is why my job is not relevant. You're going to just make your shit more efficient. So that's good. And that's a process that you can use even if you're not a financial advisor. And full disclosure, I am not a financial advisor. I don't know much about the industry. I don't know about all those buzzwords, but I do know that industry is going to be quick to get hit with some of this tech stuff. So follow what the big companies are doing, JP Morgan. And remember, big AI is selling to big AI. They're selling to each other right now because they're in a race. It's very interesting. But what touches your business is the application layer. So you need to look at what they're doing, what they're disclosing, what they're allowing in. If Apple's only working with someone and you want to get with Apple, definitely get with Apple. Granola, Claude, Lovable, check them out. JP Morgan, they spent 50 million on this stack. You don't have to spin that, but if they're investing and you want to keep pace and you've got a little bit of money to do, you're going to spend some time, money, create a new system to hopefully save you down the road. But again, it is going to save you because this AI is just going to start to move faster. And I'd imagine that operating associate is going to get more and more valuable. It's going to be what all college kids are doing outside of college. If you're a financial advisor or you're working for a marketing agency, you're doing stuff like this where you have a meeting to a CRM pipeline and you're qualifying leads and you're not just doing direct to consumer, you're not selling t-shirts, then think about this. And if you're watching this video and it hits you, talk about this in the comments. I am going to continue to research this because it's extremely valuable. And this is an actionable video. This is the point of really everything is trying to discover these workflows. And so I'll probably do another workflow and then I'll let you know what I'm doing in my business as well. We're just getting started. The point of this is to have these conversations. I'm not perfect, but I appreciate your support because this is real stuff that we're talking about. So I'll see you in the next video. If you got any ideas, reach out to me.